I travel for work quite a bit, and it is a real strain on my marriage. We have a small child, and my spouse is really overwhelmed at home when I'm gone. I don't want to say no to the work opportunities I am being given, but I also don't want a divorce. What did you do when you had small children?
This is a tough one because there's not a lot of easy answers here. But I will reflect that there was a moment when my first child was little. My husband traveled a lot, and I remember being really jealous of him having a 11-hour international flight in coach because he got all of those 11 hours without sleep interruptions. So I truly remember just how hard and what a grind it is to have small children.
My husband, who was a stay-at-home dad, was at a Y watching our son swim and overheard a couple of women talking. And one of the women was talking about how she was so envious of her husband because his mother had died and he got to go back east to clean out her house. And she was so envious.
So yeah, this is real, and I think I really appreciate both the question and the difficulty, and I encourage everyone in this situation to remind yourself that it is hard. You're not imagining it. A few specific things that I would think about is obviously you really have to have some open discussions as a couple to both talk about what you're finding hard and then to acknowledge that you're in a tough spot. One of the things that I did early on, I absolutely missed out on some big opportunities because of just knowing it wasn't going to work. We were just not going to be able to make it happen. So sometimes you do have to let a few things pass. And when those opportunities happen, I encourage you to tell yourself that life is long and this is a short period, and that it's not the only opportunities you're ever going to have. But in the situation where you are going to step off and you are going to stretch yourself and put some demands on your spouse, I encourage you to throw as much money at the problem as you can. Find more people to help. Think about how you can make short-term compromises to either your financial plan or your high standards or whatever to take some of the burden off and simplify things. But be really careful, and this is why it needs to be a conversation, because sometimes the things that you think are helpful are not actually helpful to the spouse. So making sure that you're listening to what they're finding the most difficult and figure out if there's a way that together you can either offer to do some of it before you leave or after you get back, or invite them to maybe do less, or see if there's ways that you could get additional help, whether that's somebody to come during the day to give them some space, whether that is offering for some alone time or some something when you get back, whatever it is. But I would say that if this business opportunity does have the right kind of leverage for you and you're determined to make it happen, then make it happen against the whole set of objectives and make sure you problem solve the end to end, not just you get on a plane and the rest of the cards fall as a result.
So I think, one of the things you said was put money into it. And so I would say that for the most part, this is a good investment in your financial future, your financial freedom future, as we've discussed in the past, right? So this isn't just throwing away money, it's money well spent. And then the other thing that you said was about really making sure that it is supporting your spouse in a way that is actually supportive of them, and not just what you think might be helpful to them. And sometimes that's really hard because sometimes, people get into maybe like a little bit of a martyr complex, or like a little bit of a, like, I have to do everything, and then they just explode. So sometimes that can be really difficult to get to, what is really the support that your spouse needs, that you can help them with. But the most important thing is to show that you care and that you want to make it good.
I think a lot of times in that situation, there often really isn't an answer, and I think that is, to your point, Amy, the just having empathy and saying out loud that it's an unfair ask is really what they're looking for. And so giving space for that to say, hey, I see this as a big opportunity. I think this big opportunity is beneficial for my career, my role, but also for our family in setting the right foundation for the future. And I know this is a big ask, and acknowledging it, because I think a lot of times the biggest challenge, I think, in sort of getting your feet under you with parenting and big jobs and all of that, is it's a lot of additional work, and without a conversation about it, it's easy to hope that someone else is picking up the slack. And it's that lack of conversation that creates that tension and the extra negativity that can be really, really painful on a relationship. But another reminder, it's been decades since Amy and I have been in this situation. So what the hell do we know? So take it with a grain of salt. We really wish for you to know that it does get easier.